No time! Round me! Round me! Wait! What are you doing? And his name is John C.
Like a regular Barracuda, but only more acidic. What's up, everybody? Today I want to talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare, released in 2019 for the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Now we have to ask, what exactly is Call of Duty Modern Warfare? And today we are looking at a present-day first-person shooter taking place in Europe and Western Asia. Let's take a look at the gameplay. As with the majority of the games in the series, we are looking at a first-person shooter with a regenerating health system. The lighting and particle effects are on a whole new level, but you'll need a pretty beefy system to maximize the settings. At a couple points in the campaign, you'll be doing your work in complete darkness, and the night vision looks surreal. On top of this, the situations always felt really tactical. You would sweep a building from floor to floor, and your team would slowly eliminate enemies. If you do play this game and it's on PC, I heavily recommend that you guys max out the particle effects. The fires and explosions that the game shows us are top notch. Not only that, but make sure you pay attention to the smoke that comes off your barrel after dumping a mag, the shadows, the character models, the facial animations, the flowers, and audio are, well, how do I put this? When you're playing in each level, the game runs amazing. It's only during cutscenes did I see major issues. It seems that lighting can cause a lot of grief. Maybe it was just my playthrough, but when I was playing it, I had these weird situations where people's heads would be disjointed from their bodies. It was really weird. I even had one situation where the gun literally loaded into my hand. One thing I couldn't get enough of was the environments. The night missions, London, St. Petersburg, Uzbekistan, and Georgia were all great. Now, if you're anything like myself, you have to question, where the heck is Uzbekistan? And it's not actually a real country. It's where Georgia is on the map, and clearly Activision's trying to avoid controversy. Overall, the difficulty of the campaign was pretty fair, and the duration is about 5.5 hours. It's short, but sweet. One thing that I have to mention was there's a short part of the game where you have to defuse a bomb, and it functions as an experiment in instructions.
Cut the wire exactly when I say, not before.
Ready.
Green wire. In 3, 2, 1. Cut!
Another thing that I really enjoyed was that the game will jump back to 2 different time periods throughout the game. And when we go back, we can see the character we're playing as doesn't have a lot of experience, and they clearly struggle to reload and fire weapons, and I love that realism. Let's talk about the weapons of Modern Warfare. There are 5 handguns available in the game. There's the X16, the M19, the 1911, the 357 Magnum, and the Deagle. Then we have 6 submachine guns. There is the MP5, the P90, the Uzi, the Bison, the MP7, and the AUG. I don't know why they put the AUG as a submachine gun. To me, it's definitely an assault rifle, but you do you, Call of Duty. They also give us access to 4 shotguns. There's the Model 680, the 725, the R90, and the Origin 12. And then we have 6 sniper rifles. They are the Dragunov, the AX50, the HDR, the M14, the Mark II, and the Kar98K. We also have 8 assault rifles, which are the M4A1, the FAL, the M13 Custom, the AK-47, the Odin, the FR556, the Kilo 141, and the Scar 17. We also have 4 machine guns, which are the PKM, the SA87, which is garbage, the M91, and the MG34, which is my favorite. And then of course we have our oddballs to round things out. The first is the M134 minigun. Then we have flyable explosive drones. We also have laser-guided missile strikes. And then of course we have the Spoon, which doubles as a shank. There's also improvised explosive devices, an attack helicopter, and then there's a cinder block. To be honest, I really enjoyed the weapons in this game. I hope in the sequel they include a spork. Now, for enemies in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, we have traditional foot soldiers, which come in Russian and terrorist flavors. We have tripwires, dogs, suicide bombers, helicopters, juggernauts, and war crimes like attacking a hospital. For a modern game, some of the AI was really good. I genuinely felt bad whenever I burnt an enemy to death. It's not pretty. Now let's talk about that plot, and please be aware, there are spoilers ahead. The campaign of Call of Duty Modern Warfare features 4 main characters: Captain John Price of the SAS, Sergeant Kyle Garrick of the SAS, a rebel leader named Farah Karim, and a Central Intelligence Agency officer named Alex. At the opening of the game, Alex is sent to intercept a shipment of chemical gas. Unfortunately, Alex fails, and the Marines that are accompanying him are killed by unknown forces. With the chemical gases being stolen, Russia is put on high alert. We then cut to London, where we play as Kyle Garrick, where his squad attempts to prevent a major terrorist attack by the Al-Qatala. They fail, and the situation erupts into a slaughter. As we enter a nearby building, we are saved by Captain Price. Price and Garrow then discover a group of hostages. In order to save the other hostages, Price makes a split-second decision. As the game continues, the narrative begins to piece together that the Al-Qatala is likely to have stolen the chemical gas in Uzbekistan. We then return to Alex, where he is introduced to Farah and Hadir.
He works with Captain Price.
Then you kill Russians, yes?
I have friends who can help us.
Alex and Farah come to an agreement. If Farah's group helps Alex locate the gas, he'll help them liberate their country from the Russians. As we progress on our first mission with Farah, we learn of General Barkov, who has been terrorizing Uzbekistan to shield Russia from international terrorists. Oh my, it's almost like he's the main antagonist. After we capture a nearby base, we cut back to London, and we raid an Al-Qatala townhouse and learn the location of their leader, the Wolf. We then cut back to Uzbekistan, where Alex and Sergeant Griggs Marines raid a hospital and capture the Wolf. The Wolf is then taken to a US embassy, but is freed by the Butcher and a mob of Al-Qatala. Alex and Farah then move out of the city to ambush the Wolf on the Highway of Death. The ambush goes off the rails when Barkov's forces arrive and begin to attack Farah's rebels and the Al-Qatala. Hadir reveals he is the one who stole the gases and uses it to kill the Russians to save Alex and Farah. 10 out of 10, great idea, almost kills both of them. We then flash back 20 years to Hadir and Farah as kids, where we witness a chemical attack on their village, the murder of their father, and their attempt to escape, which is cut off by Barkov. We then return to present day, where Price and Garrow team up with Alex and Farah to capture the Wolf.
Killing me cannot stop him.
After we return to base, we learn that Farah's rebels have been designated hostile due to Hadir's cooperation with the Al-Qatala. Alex then decides to break off and stay on with Farah as Price and Garrow travel to St. Petersburg to prevent another attack. Once again, we witness a flashback. However, this time it's 10 years ago. We see Hadir and Farah locked up in a prison where Barkov is torturing them for information on the rebels. This is the part of the game where Farah is waterboarded, and the game mechanic itself is kind of dull, but I think it undercuts how brutal it is to be waterboarded. Farah then manages to break out and tries to rescue Hadir. Just before she can reach him, she is captured by the Russians. Luckily, Lieutenant Price of the SAS swoops in and rescues her, allowing her to save her brother. We then return to present day, where Captain Price and Sergeant Garrow capture the Butcher with the help of Nikolai. After interrogating the Butcher and using his family's leverage, the two learn that Hadir is going to attack Barkov at his estate in Moldova. At this point in the game, we can either kill the Butcher or let him live. And fun fact, you can't kill his family. Really, the choice you make at this point in the game doesn't really matter. At the estate, they capture Hadir and obtain intel on the location of Barkov's gas factory. Laswell shows up just as they're about to leave and demands they turn over Hadir as the Russians want him. Price then strikes a bargain. He can keep the intel for the gas factory if he turns over Hadir. Price and Garrow then regroup with Alex and Farah and collaborate an attack on the chemical gas factory in Georgia. During the battle, the detonator to be used to destroy the facility gets damaged, and Alex has to sacrifice himself to detonate the explosives manually. This in turn allows Farah to kill Barkov. The game then comes to a close in the final scene, where we learn Captain Price will be forming Task Force 141. We then learn Kyle Garrow's codename, which is Gaz. Price even mentions two new recruits, John Soap McTavish and Simon Ghost Riley, whose face is not shown. Overall, the plot is pretty good, and if it wasn't for Alex's death at the end, I think I would have been head over heels for the storyline. There is a theory floating around that Alex is actually Ghost, which would be pretty awesome, but we'll have to see what happens in the sequel. The last thing that the campaign tells us is that the story is continued in Spec Ops. And basically what it is it's a 4-player co-op mode which involves hunting down a new terrorist cell, but I played it for about 20 minutes with 3 randoms, and I immediately got bored. Maybe it's really good, but I just wasn't feeling it. I've never been a fan of Spec Ops, with exception to Modern Warfare 2. Now on the other hand, the multiplayer is everything it's supposed to be. I freaking loved it and got sucked into it for way too long. The kill streaks, the weapons, the game mechanics, I loved it, and it took me back 10 years ago to the nostalgia of the golden age of Call of Duty. If you do play it, make sure you use the M4, the 725, or the PKM. They're the best guns, hands down. Now, the 725 will likely be nerfed into the floor later on, but when I was using it, it was way too powerful. Man, the range goes so far. So, in summary, the gameplay is solid, the graphics are awesome, and the plot was interesting, and I felt invested, an exception to the certain death near the end. Now, for negatives, I think the game needs a little more polish on the cinematic transitions, but other than that, I really enjoyed it. I think I have to give this game an A. I'd recommend playing it as soon as possible. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you watching till the end of the video. And lastly, but most importantly, I hope you all have a great day. Come on, game. You can render it. Come on. There you go.